Shout out to our sponsor, Indochino.
Indochino provides made-to-measure premium suits.
And you can get 50% off your new threads with free shipping when you visit Indochino.com and use promo code KNOW. Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley Jenkins.
And I'm Gus Sorola.
2017 has barely started, and already we've got a digital homicide-esque indie developer meltdown on our hands.
This week's given us two separate instances of indie devs trying to manipulate review scores, one of which resulted in a DMCA fight and the developer being removed from Steam altogether by Valve.
Yeah, that particular developer was Metan Cohen, the creator of a recently released first-person shooter/stealth game known as Art of Stealth. And judging by Cohen's conduct over the week since his game launched, you can add him to the list of developers that have flamed out in really spectacular fashion.
Following the release of Cohen's game, Art of Stealth received quite a bit of criticism from gamers. Users found it to be buggy, poorly designed, and missing one kind of important gameplay mechanic: stealth.
Huh. What's the game called again?
Art of Stealth.
So it's just art of.
Oh, right.
A number of bad reviews popped up on the game's Steam page and forum, which resulted in the developer banning naysayers. A few of those bad reviews also showed up in video forum, and Cohen responded to those by threatening the video creators with DMCA takedowns.
Complaints about Cohen's behavior found their way over to Reddit, where users noticed the developers seemed to be using dummy accounts to leave positive comments and even positive reviews on behalf of Cohen and the studio, which is a pretty big no-no and violates Valve's terms of service for developers.
For Cohen's part, he responded to these allegations in an update to Art of Stealth's Steam page, writing, "I want to stop this ridiculous rumor immediately and explain what is going on with the store page. A few friends of mine who study computer science with me in the university have decided to join Steam in order to support this game by posting positive reviews."
Yeah, you're friends. Yeah, makes sense, right?
We all have a lot of online friends.
As all of this unfolded, who else got involved but Jim fucking Sterling, who did what he does best, stoking the flames. Sterling also trashed the game in a new video, which resulted in another DMCA takedown threat by the developer.
Cohen then called Sterling a pathetic bully, which is going to get him far, saying, "Jim Sterling has no respect to software engineers who learned programming in university for 5 years and work hard to create a good game. Jim Sterling calls our work load of crap. He doesn't respect our attempts to make a good game. He simply makes money by discredit other people's works. I wonder if this worm can actually write a single line of code."
Cohen later said he was also upset that Sterling had released his damning review without Cohen's permission, because that's not how this works.
That's not how any of this works. Eventually, word of all this misconduct by the developer, and particularly those fake reviews, made their way back to Valve, who announced yesterday afternoon that they would be taking the game down and ending their relationship with the developer.
But, of course, it does not end there. Cohen had some comments about his game being removed, writing to Tech Raptor, "Those fake accounts belong to my family and some close friends of mine. Last week, they have joined Steam to support my project."
He went on to say, "I have banned many members, and they revenged me by reporting to Valve on, quote, fake accounts. Valve believed them and removed my game from the store. Valve told me that my game would never be on the store again. This is a very sad day for me. I was working on my game for 3 months, and the bullies won."
You'd think it'd be obvious that developers shouldn't try to finagle reviews in their favor, but that's actually not the only time it happened this week. Yesterday, review website COG Connected released a report that another indie dev, Badfly Interactive, had threatened to blacklist any media outlet that didn't give their new game Dead Effect 2 positive review scores.
According to COG Connected, the developers issued this threat via an email, stating that no copies of Badfly's future games would be received if Dead Effect 2 was given a bad score. We're quaking in our boots over here. We really wanted Dead Effect 3 and 4 reviews. It's gonna do a lot for everyone's traffic. That's really the right way to start a relationship with the press, right?
How do we know how the trilogy will end if we've never heard of it before today? But these are just the latest in a long history of developers doing their darndest to try to game reviews, especially when it comes to Steam. Last fall, Steam had to adjust how it handles user reviews, resulting in some big changes for developers. The main change was that Steam stopped weighing the reviews of people who had activated keys rather than those who had purchased the game directly from Steam.
Yeah, this did result in a lot of games with fake reviews being taken down quite a few pegs, but it also ended up hurting some legitimate developers at the time too, because, well, key activations come from a lot of different storefronts, and a lot of those are legit customers who are more or less being discounted.
True. If you're wondering why developers would go to these kinds of lengths to manipulate reviews, There's a lot of research out there showing that reviews really do matter, despite many people out there trying to claim the opposite.
A 2012 study by Eddy showed a huge disparity in the sales of titles that scored an 80 or below versus those that scored higher. In fact, the numbers at that time showed that anything below a 90 drastically affected sales, especially after the 3-month mark.
Video game marketing consultant Emmy Jonathan agrees, saying that Steam reviews in particular are an indie game's biggest negative sales effect, or in some cases, a game's conversion rate can drop as much as 68% once the negative reviews start showing up.
But of course, not all the research lines up with those findings. Games Industry did a study in 2014 and found that there wasn't a huge correlation between Metacritic scores and Steam sales, and Ars Technica had sort of similar findings that same year, writing that high scores matter, but ultimately, reviews don't seem to write a game's ultimate sales destiny. You can have poor reviews and still succeed, just harder.
True. And another study by the Journal of Consumer Behavior came to the totally different conclusion that scores do matter and that professional reviews matter much more than user scores. Meanwhile, the ESA determined in 2015 that only 3% of gamers even use reviews to make their purchasing decisions anyway, while 11% rely on word of mouth.
So, jury's out on the exact relationship between reviews and sales is kind of what we're saying there. But research does at least indicate some kind of correlation, and since it's one thing that developers can maybe try to control or influence at the very least, some of them, well, unfortunately go too far in their attempts to weigh the dice in their favor.
If anything, cases like Art of Stealth and others just highlight how hard many indie developers are fighting to get noticed and try not to get buried under a mountain of other Steam games, but lashing out at your customers and trying to game the system, that'll get you noticed for all the wrong reasons.
So what do you guys think of Art of Stealth's removal from Steam? Let us know in the comments.
For more updates on indie devs gone wild, like this video and subscribe to The Know.
Thanks to Indochino for sponsoring this update.
Indochino provides custom, made-to-measure premium suits that will have you looking perfectly dapper for years.
You can choose from hundreds of fabrics and customize everything from the lapels to the pleats to the jacket lining so you get just the suit you want. And enter your custom measurements and then voila! 4 weeks later, your swish new, totally custom suit will arrive, ready to fit you better than any off-the-rack number could.
Get a new suit with free shipping for $389. That's 50% off. Just visit Indochino.com and use promo code KNOW at checkout.
Now, you can really tell custom suits, too.
I think I'm going to get one. I've been wanting to get one. I'm really happy to see this.